Hello, my name is Scott. I'm DSRW on GitHub, and today I would like to talk about Inu, which is a live coding and game development environment written in Nim that I've been working on for a few months now. It's very early on, it doesn't do a whole lot yet. It is also my first Nim project, but I do think there's some interesting ideas there, and I'm hoping other people will find it interesting as well. So I teach a coding club for my 10-year-old son and some of his friends. And last year we made a 2D game using Godot, which went okay. But most of these kids are not super technical and generally have never used a laptop computer before. They have experience with iPads and such, but most kids these days, it seems, haven't used a laptop, which is pretty much a necessity for game development. And so I found we spent a lot more time just dealing with Godot or dealing with computer issues like window navigation and right clicking and navigating menus. We spent a lot more time doing those sorts of things than we did actually coding. And at the end of the year, they certainly knew more than they did when they started, but they mostly knew how to work a computer versus how to code. So this year I wanted to go about it a little bit differently. I wanted it to be super focused on the code. I didn't want to, I wanted an all-in-one environment. I didn't want to have to deal with a separate development environment for creating a game versus the game itself, bouncing back and forth between multiple applications. I wanted everything all in one place that they could just run full screen and never have to leave. I wanted a logo like hyper procedural type API that kind of reads like pseudocode, just forward, left, right, up, down. I didn't want to have to deal with events or async programming and callbacks and things like that. And I wanted it to be 3D focused. Most learning tools are 2D focused, but I'm just not that interested in making 2D games. So if I'm going to spend time teaching kids to code and making a game with them, I want it to be a 3D game. I've always wanted to make games and 3D games in particular, so I decided to focus on that. I wanted something that works offline with no accounts because sometimes I've done some of this in schools as well for Hour of Code, and every time I go into a school, I'll bring in a bunch of laptops, and the first thing that happens is I realize that I have no way to get on the internet because they have super locked down Wi-Fi, and I end up having to connect everybody through my phone, and it's just a disaster. So I wanted something that was fully offline, no accounts, MIT licensed, just stick it on a computer, put that computer in front of a kid, run it full screen, and go. Um, so um, so I looked for something like that for a little while, and I didn't really find anything that was to my liking. So I decided to build it myself. Initially, I started using a normal Godot approach with GD script, and I found that I ran into issues with the language pretty quickly. GD script is a nice simple language, but anytime you want to do anything complicated, it falls over pretty quickly. It doesn't have any exception handling, and the support for coroutines and threading and things like that are all pretty rudimentary. There's certainly nothing like macros or tools to build a nice expressive API. So I did start with GD script, but it didn't work out. So I decided to try Nim. I'd been looking for an excuse to use Nim for a while, and I found the Pragmagic Godot Nim bindings, which seemed pretty good. And turns out, surprise, they're not just pretty good, they're excellent. So I decided to do this with Nim. It's still based on Godot. It mostly is written in regular compiled Nim, but it uses the Nim VM for script evaluation. So everything that you're doing live, the live coding aspect, uses the Nim VM. But it's meant to embrace Godot and still do things in a very Godot type way. So even though you're not interacting with Godot, or at least the kids aren't interacting with Godot and don't have to see it, in the end, you still have a Godot project that you can just open up in the Godot editor. And so my API is still very simple, but in theory, it should be very easy to take an Inu project and then just start working on it in Godot if you have to do something that Inu doesn't support, which is pretty important because right now Inu doesn't really support anything. But I'm hoping in the future you'll at least be able to make simple games with it, and for more complicated things, just prototype in Inu and then use Godot for the things that can't be done in Inu. So I'm going to do a demo. All right, so this is Inu. It doesn't look like a whole lot, and the it's kind of modeled off Minecraft, so you can like place blocks and delete them, and there's different kinds of blocks, so that's all pretty straightforward. And you can fly and do things like that. So, but we can also code various objects. So let's start with, I guess we'll start with, let's do this guy here. So I'm going to fly up and look down just because it's easier. So this is a nim script. Let's just make him go forward. And he can go forward. We can make him go forward twice if we want to, or we can do it like that. So let's make him walk in a square. So we'll go. Actually, let's just do a while loop. While true. We'll just go forward. Let's go forward 5 steps. And then we'll turn right. And there he goes. And let's make it go a little bit faster. Speed equals 5. And we can play some animations because this doesn't look very good. So let's use a walk animation, and we'll bump the speed back down to 1. And I'm just going to make him, instead of turning 90 degrees, which is the default, I'll make him turn 120 degrees with a little triangle. And I'm actually going to make him turn left because I don't want him to run into that little block. And great. So we coded a little guy who can walk around in a triangle. Let's try this guy. I'm going to go way up here again. The flying mechanic is a little cumbersome right now. Again, this is very, very early. There's a lot that's going to change. So, and I didn't open the right. Oh, I guess I had written part of a script here before. So we'll make this guy, let's make him walk in a square, but we'll change the animation. We'll have him switch between walking and running from time to time. So we'll do a while loop. Oh my goodness. You'd think I would know how to spell while. While true. We'll go forward. Actually, let's walking equals if walking walk else run walking equals not walking. All right, and we'll make him go forward. Let's go 7 and turn right. So we should walk and then flip to running every now and then. And there we go. And once again, I'm going to go left here instead of right. Reload the script. And we'll fall to the earth. Okay. So we can also generate geometry with the same kind of API. So I'll, oops. Let's go forward. Go forward 2. So we actually have more than one block. And let's fly back again. Oops. All right. So let's build like a enclosed cube kind of thing. I'll set the length of the walls to 10 and set the height to 5, I guess. And then we'll go from 0 to 3. We want 4 walls, so. And we'll go forward length, and then we'll turn right again, and then we'll go up. And we'll do it again. So step in 0 to height. All right, let's see if this does anything. Oh, off by 1 errors. And every time we switch, let's change the block. Right now I only support 2 different blocks, but we'll say if index is 1, then we'll set it to 0. Else is 1, and then we should. Oh. So the error reporting in this could be better. And I've got a helper function called fill square, and we'll just have it fill the and we'll set our speed to be a little, let's just make it just kind of happen instantly. Oh, and that's not where that's supposed to go. This should happen after all of the, there we go. And we'll make this a little bit bigger. And we can still edit it. Oops. So we can delete some blocks here, and yeah, so that's about all we can do right now. There's certainly a lot more coming, but that's Inu. Thank you very much.